Alrighty, hello everyone. We're back at the Colonie Pit where we catch up with our colony friends and alumni. We have a great guest on today's show, as in every show, there's always a great cast. Rex, who's on the hot seat for us today?
Yes, John, we have a true colony legend. We have from the class of 1995. He is a dad, a parent, a fellow podcast host in and of himself, a Hannaford legend. We have Mr. Frank Ferraro in the house today.
Good
Frankie,
morning.
welcome to the show.
Glad and honored to be here.
Nice, nice. But Frank, before, as you know how we do this, before we get into your story, we got to warm you up a little bit with some old school colony questions. So the first question we ask everyone, and hopefully you're prepared, is back in the day. Let's take it back to '95, and you got an ice cream craving, and you're going to take a Curva Cream road trip. Who are the four people you're picking up to go to Curva Cream, and what flavor are you getting?
I'm going to answer this two ways. From 95, it's going to be Nick Newcomb, Joey Benincasa. I'm going to take Mike Corda and Billy Barnes also.
Ooh,
Wow.
Ooh.
That is a crew.
Now, today, if I'm going to bring Matty Halleck, Dennis Manowski, and I got to bring the enforcer, Bobby Fish.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. And
That's
what flavor are you getting?
I'm going to get a cherry sundae, a cherry dumpling sundae.
Cherry dumpling sundae. Wow.
So far, we've been hearing a lot of different flavors, so that's interesting. All right, Frank, we're going to see exactly how colony you are. And actually, we're going to go back to, so you were a freshman in 91, so we're going to bring this back to 91. And in 1991, what game consoles in your house? Is it Atari, Nintendo, ColecoVision, Intellivision, Jaguar, or the infamous Sega Genesis?
Oh, it was definitely the Sega Genesis. I can remember Billy Barnes knocking on my door to play Joe Montana football back in the day. So it was Sega.
Nice.
Right.
So you and I are blood brothers. I was the only kid in my neighborhood too. Everyone else had Nintendo.
Yeah,
Very
that
nice.
was big back in the day.
All right. Back in the day, you got some time to kill. You want to go to the mall. Which mall are you going to? Northway Mall, Colony Center, Crossgates, or Mohawk Mall?
Even though we live near Mohawk Mall, I still go to Colonie Center. I can
Okay.
remember double sessions and Coach Cacciadorian distinctly telling us not to go to Burger King, but we always went through the trail. We always went through that trail through the cemetery and went to had a Whopper or two or three over at Burger King Colonie Center.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ever going to get, of all people, I thought you might have said Mohawk Mall based on a geographic location, but I don't know if Mohawk is ever going to get a vote, but that's okay. Next question.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. All right, so here we go. It's Saturday afternoon. You have a chance to go do something fun. Where are you going to go? Go see the Albany Colony Yankees play, the Albany Patroons, or the infamous Metro Maulers?
I'm going to go to Heritage Park and watch
Nice.
either the Yankees or later on the Diamond Dogs.
Oh, nice.
Old school
Oh,
reference.
not bad.
All right. Did you ever see any famous Yankees play when they were with the AC Yankees?
I think we only seen Ron Guidry once. I think he was there one Saturday evening.
Yeah,
The Gator.
I remember that. Louisiana Lightning. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we all know you're a big wrestling fan, pro wrestling guru. Back in the day, and then in the '90s, were you WWF, WCW, World WCCW, the Von Erich one, or ECW? Which was your organization back in the day?
So when we were in high school, I kind of stopped watching. And then somebody was like, you got to watch this ECW thing. I'm like, what is that? They started naming off the guys that were there. I'm like, these guys are all washed up. Why am I going to watch this? But then I started watching it, and I'm like, man, I'm hooked. And that actually brought me back into watching wrestling all over again.
All right.
This was dirty. It was like 12 o'clock at the MSG network. We weren't supposed to be watching it. It's like an infomercial. It was just It was old school. Blood and
Gotcha.
guts, just all kinds of foolishness.
Oh,
Hardcore
those guys are
ECW.
jumping into those guys are jumping into the stands, doing their moves. That was crazy. So let me ask you this: who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
All time, there was a guy back in the day, Tully Blanchard. He was a Four Horseman, always a
Woo!
bad guy. And then later on, watching ECW was Shane Douglas, the franchise.
Oh, nice, very nice. All right, here we go. It's Saturday night. No, actually, it's Friday night. We're going Friday here. You have to make a decision. Do you go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video?
Probably Blockbuster, get a video game.
Oh, okay. So, bonus question is: did you have a Blockbuster card? That sounds like a yes. And then
Absolutely.
two. So, let me ask you this question. So, what's the first section you visit when you walk in?
Probably either the comedy or we went to the wrestling videos. And then we graduated to the video games.
So, what wrestling videos would you get? Like the old
Like a
WrestleManias?
WrestleMania or one of those ones we haven't watched yet or want to watch again.
Nice, nice. Oh, and that okay. So then, actually, sorry about that. That was my cue for the last one here. So now we got you warmed up. You're ready to go. So now we're going to get everything started here. We're going to always do like we always do is start Pulp Fiction style. We're going to start at the end, and you're going to help us pick up from the beginning and get us right back here. So what is your current situation? Are you married? Do you have kids? And where are you living at these days?
So I live probably almost a mile away from the Colonie golf course inside the Niskuna line. So I'm on the Colonie side of Colonie, obviously. I got two kids, both in the Colonie school system. One just started football, ironically enough, flag. And obviously I'm married, been married for about 13 years. I'm a manager for Hannaford, and in my spare time, I co-host the Bobby Fish Undisputed podcast with Dennis Romanowski and Mr. Fish.
Nice.
Nice.
How long you been doing that
We've
for?
been doing that for about 2 years. Yeah, it'll be 2 years in August.
Oh, nice.
Um, and the obvious question is, well, how'd you guys start doing that? So the long answer is, I've been getting want Bobby to do it for a while. Him and Kyle O'Reilly did the Chris Jericho podcast. I think that was January of 2022. Him and I kept in touch, and I texted like, "Hey, that was pretty good. You guys should do a podcast." He's like, "Yeah, I would like to do one, but I'm not sure if Kyle would do it with me." All right, whatever. So table it. A few months go by, and we're texting back and forth, and he tells me a Dusty Rhodes story. I'll let him tell that Dusty Rhodes story himself, but the story got me thinking, like, man, if I was listening to a podcast, I want to hear that story. It was a really good story. So I throw it out to him again. He goes, well, if you can figure it out, let's do it. He goes, but I'm not going to do it by myself. You're going to do it with me. I'm like, oh, I wasn't planning on that, but whatever. So I'm emailing people who are doing podcasts. I'm trying to do legwork, and you'd be surprised how many people don't want to help you on the come up. That was the thing that surprised me. Like they did not want to. Basically, it was basically figure out yourself. In the meantime, I'm watching what Matty Halleck's doing with the Hitting Garage, and he's doing some great stuff with his deal. Him and Dennis were doing a podcast. I'm like, why? How did I not see this? So I reach out to Matt. I go, Matt, hey, you guys want to do a podcast, or could you help us steer us in the right direction? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Dennis does mine. I'm like, well, this is a no-brainer. So originally it was going to be the four of us doing it. I mean, we had some starts and stops, some play. We just didn't want to just do it to do it. We wanted to have a format. We wanted to know what we were going to talk about. We wanted to, it needed to be structured. So Matt has his own thing going on, so he couldn't commit the time to doing it. So the three of us just started doing it. The first one wasn't very good. I mean, it wasn't formatted. We just went off the cuff. And the funny thing is, because it's called the Undisputed Podcast, people thought Bobby's buddies in the Undisputed Era were in the podcast. They thought Kyle O'Reilly, Roddy Strong, Adam Cole were in it, and to their surprise, it was just Dennis and I and Bobby. So the first week we aired, and we all know it was terrible, but it made the top 10 in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We were in the top 10 for wrestling podcasts. It was
Nice.
literally it was a half hour of us just BSing and just trying to figure it out on the fly. So after that episode, Dennis goes, "Listen, if we're gonna do this, we got to format it better. We need some bullet points." And that's how it just evolved. And then as things progressed, we would get guests on, people that Bobby knew, and I would reach out to people, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" And that's kind of where we are now.
Awesome. Well,
So I got to ask you the next question. How do Rex and I get on the show? We need to know.
we're not wrestlers, John.
Yeah, but I think we have some wrestle. We're good wrestle trivia guys.
That's not a bad
Yeah.
idea. I might have to
Yeah.
bring that on board.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking is because you're obviously here tonight talking to us, but I do want to get Dennis and Bobby on this show individually as well. And then once we get through all you guys individually, maybe, I don't know if John and I are ready for this, but maybe we could do the mega cast where we have all three of you on the Colony Pit at once.
Ironically, Dennis and I were talking about like Voltron, having the whole thing form together, and
Yes.
we have a
Yes.
podcast. We go from there. The dynamic is, and you guys know this from doing your show. And Bobby said this in an interview a couple weeks ago when he was up here with Levac and Gaz. He said the thing that makes ours work is the dynamic between the three of us. Because if you threw two other people in the roles that we're in, I'm not sure if it worked. And I'm not sure if Dennis and I could do with somebody else because we all know each other, so we know
Right.
where to go and how to navigate through conversations. If we did it a different way, I don't think it'd work the same.
Yeah, yeah. We this would be like a one-time only thing because I don't think all five of us could function together for the long term. I think we have a tough enough time just getting in 1 hour, to be honest with you. But we'll table that for now. And but it has floated around in the back of my mind to have the mega cast with all five of us on here. But anyway, let's switch gears a bit. And we talked about what you're doing now. Let's take it back and tell our audience a bit about where in Colonie did you grow up, roughly, and who are some of the people that grew up in the same general neighborhood or area that you grew up in?
So I grew up over in the Stanford Heights area of
The
Colony,
Heights in the house.
aka the Heights, and it's a who's who. We had the aforementioned William Barnes Jr. We had Michael Corda. We had Kevin Christie was a part of that crew for a little bit.
Ooh,
We had Eric Brown for a little bit. Actually, a lot of it. He was there. I think that was it.
yeah.
Both came in and laughed, but that was the core group.
Yeah, you guys did represent the Height. You guys were like your own little island out there. It was a whole different world out there. Just tell everyone, for those who don't know where Stanford Heights is in Colony, kind of give some perspective as to where it is.
It's far, far more towards Schenectady than anything else. It's like
Yeah,
literally on the line between Schenectady and Colony.
right. Your true Mohawk Mall area. You're about as far as you can go without being in Colony. About as far away from the high school as possible, actually. Yeah, the Heights. I spent a good amount of time out there in the Heights, and the Heights was it was a different world out there in the
Yep.
Heights. Yeah, yeah. You had to have your stuff together to survive in the Heights.
A lot of elbows.
Yeah, a lot of yeah. Basketball was definitely different playing at Stanford Heights Park.
It was a finesse game out there. It was all elbows and
Yeah,
you know,
it was
forearms.
true. Yeah, it was true '90s basketball, and a lot of insults flying around. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but tell us a little bit about you went to Colonie High, obviously. If you had to summarize your 4 years at Colonie High, tell everyone, what were you into during high school? What were your interests? Kind of, what were you into? What were you not into? All that kind of jazz.
So going into high school, I wanted to actually seventh, eighth grade. I wanted to do baseball, and I just obviously wasn't that good. And then going into my freshman year, Coach Halberian sent a letter to my house asking to play football. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to take him up on this offer. So I went off the freshman, played freshman, and then I played all 4 years. And you remember in the senior lounge there was those paintings of freshman, sophomore. That was me. Sloppy in the beginning, and then I grew up and evolved, I guess they say.
So did you say he sent a letter to your house?
He sent a letter to my house, saying, "Hey, freshman football starts end of August, mid-August, I think it was." And I don't know if he said to all the guys in 8th grade going into freshman, but I got one. I'll remember as clear as day. I got it on a Friday afternoon. I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Because he'd always ask me to play 7th and 8th grade. I want you to play on the team. I just didn't want to do it. So then finally, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to play. And I got the bug, and that was it.
Yeah.
How many kids were on that freshman team that year you played?
Oh, they're probably, it's funny, there were probably between 30 and 40 kids in that team. When I go back now, because obviously my son's involved in a lot of the program now, it's not like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh,
even on the varsity level, when those spots were coveted, there may be 30 to 35 kids on the team. There's not a lot of kids on the team.
wow. I remember our senior year for double sessions that first day. I think there was like 75 kids
Yep.
that came out for that first session. And then, as you know, in August with the heat, the humidity, the session number 2 came back. And like we were just talking before, going through that trail through the cemetery to go grab a bite, we come back for the second session and there's like 40 kids left. Like
Yeah.
literally half of the kids trying out just went home. And I was like, man, that was crazy. I didn't realize that many people, want to play football until they realize, well, this is going to be miserable, push-ups, sit-ups, and all the running around.
It's miserable, but I look back at it now, and I'd go back and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had never put on football pads prior to 9th grade?
Nope.
Wow.
Never played Pop Warner or any of that stuff. Freshman year, that was the go-to year. That was it.
Okay. Was football the only
Nice.
sport you played in high school, or did you do anything else?
So funny enough, junior year, I'm in the weight room, and Coach Green, the track coach, walks in the weight room, and he goes, "Why aren't you at practice?" And I looked at him, I'm like, I don't play for you." He goes, "No, Coach Cacciadorian signed you up for track. You're doing shot put and discus." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So on the shot put discus, it was Corda, Jimmy Haas. I think Billy Barnes might have been there.
Yeah.
And it was Kevin Christie was there, and that crew was there. So, and Coach Ambrosia was our coach. So there was all that connection.
Nice.
Wow.
Shout out to Kevin Christie, wherever you are. That's a good dude right there.
Yep.
That is quite a crew. Like I can't imagine what a daily practice was like with those characters.
There was a thing called the Fat Man 4x4, which we perfected.
So who's the anchor like? Who's the sprinter out of those guys?
Actually, I think it was Corda. Corda had some he had some legs on him.
Corder was a good athlete, man, real good athlete.
Was that 4x4 or 4x1? You guys were running 400s or 100s
No,
each?
it was just name. That's just the name. It was 4x1. We weren't going. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you actually run? Was that truly a race? Did you actually run that, or did you guys just make that up as a fantasy?
It was fictitious.
Okay. All right, because I would have paid to seen that one. But all right. So you did the football, you did the track. What else were you kind of into during high school? Was it the kind of like a video game kid, a movie kid, or do you have any other kind of hobbies that you were into?
We were always out playing hoop, and there was a home run derby at the Heights. But going into I think it was my junior year, end of junior year, I don't know what spawned this, but I wanted to be on the radio. So I'd call Roger Weiland show all the time.
Remember this?
Oh,
Then,
no kidding.
Going into my senior year, a week before doubles, I had sprained my ankle really bad. So I'm on crutches. Coach K wasn't happy with me. So I'm just hanging out, and I would call Roger, and I'd say, hey, and I would tell him my buddies were in the NFL. Basically, I'd say, hey, do you know Bobby Fish is the Seahawk camp? He goes, oh, really? Is he trying out? I go, yep, he's got the team as a free agent. And like Justin Moore, all these guys were in different camps. Little did Roger know, they were just going to college. They weren't even near the pros. So that was the ongoing joke. And Billy was in a camp, Corda was in a camp, and I got Roger looking to see if these guys were actually in NFL camps. But that was the joke. We would prank him.
All right.
Nice.
We became relatively decent friends where he actually came and spoke at our football banquet.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so he's forgiven you then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You guys are on good terms? All right.
We're in good terms.
Cool. During your 4 years at high school, any teachers that stuck out that you liked or made any kind of impression on you?
They weren't my teachers per se, but I would definitely say Coach Alberian. Except I just said, he wasn't for him, I wouldn't have played football. Coach Ambrosio, and Coach Cachadorian. Though you always have those coaches, and you hear about the coaches in high school that make a difference. Those three for me were it, obviously. I'm sure I'm leaving some folks out, but those
Yeah.
three, especially Ambrosio and Halberian, they wanted the best. They pushed you, and anything less wasn't good enough. They knew your potential and they got it out of you. Coach K the same way.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
let me ask you this question. We were asking the other folks that came on. If you had a chance to go back to your freshman year right now, you get in this time machine, you go back. What would you tell yourself as soon as you walk through those doors at Colony Central?
It'd be two things: be a little more studious and really embrace the weight room and the extra stuff that it took to get to the next level. Because I did get recruited. My senior year, I got recruited by Springfield College. I went up for a visit, and they were like, at that time I was 6'1", 250, and that's not offensive line shape. And like, you got to get bigger. You're not big enough. And ironically enough, there was a guy up there who was an All-American, who you may know, John Cena, was playing in front
Yeah.
of me. He was there, already there. I think he may have been a sophomore when I was going to be in there. But I was like, I'm not going to play, so why bother going up there? So I went to Schenectady Community College. I have a 2-year degree in criminal justice, which I don't use at all. That's where I landed. But I listened to the Matt Halleck show you guys did, and he had talked about being a junior on the basketball team and pushing, Rex,
Mm-hmm.
you guys. Like, man, if I had that mentality going into college, it may have made a difference. I may have gone to Springfield because as a junior football player for Colonie, I didn't play much. I was on special teams, but our practices were like games. So you wanted to play hard because you knew you weren't going to play Friday night. And I can remember playing against Haas and Fish, all those guys. Those guys were man among boys. And like I said, those practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those were games for us. So
Good.
No, that's a big thing, like you were saying, because our senior year, Jimmy and Mike were juniors, and Billy was out there with us too, and we used to go running at the Sand Creek Hill like
yep,
2 weeks before camp just to get in shape to get there going, and there was a bunch of us that went out there just to go train. Bobby was out there and doing it. But like you said, I mean, the whole football team is not those starting 11s, everyone on the team that makes the
right,
starting 11 good. So even though you don't step on the field, it didn't mean, you weren't contributing, because everyone who, like I said, if you survived double sessions, you were contributing one way or another. And like I said, guys like yourself out there, Colonie isn't Colonie without, all 33 or whatever. I think we had
right,
33 kids on our team out there. I mean, that was everyone. And like you said, sometimes the games were close and they couldn't go in. Other times, they went in. And I just remember Shannon Newcomb, would back me up. And I remember, man, when he went in there, dude, I was coaching him like anything else, wanted to see him succeed. And like I said, there's a lot of great players, just waiting their turn there. And that's the one thing too. So when you were your senior year, did you have a plan? Like you're saying, hey, when I graduate, I'm going to go do this, or what was it like for you?
I wanted to go someplace because I wanted to do the radio thing. I had a passion to be on the radio, um, and that was one of the things I was looking to do. If I played football, great. But then you start thinking, do I want to bounce around from radio station to radio station and making 30,000 to start with, or do I want to get a real job? And that's what I opted to do. And to me, it was like same thing with being in criminal justice. Actually, Shannon's brother Nick was in the academy when I was evening manager, and he called me one night. He goes, "I can't talk to you." I go, "What's going on?" I just got pepper sprayed in my face. I'm a mess. I go, "Man, that does not sound fun." He was in training. I go, "Man, I don't think I want to do that either. I think I'm good right here." So that's why I stayed at Hannaford for the last 27 years, because I didn't want to go through that route of that the hazing and all that stuff that he was going through. It wasn't for me. So, but no, the original plan was to go into radio. But like I said, it wasn't. I didn't want to bounce around, all that stuff.
So were you working at Hannaford during high school, or did that start in college?
That started in college.
Okay. All right. So and then right after high school, you graduated from high school. Then did you start up at Schenectady County Community College like that following fall, or was there a break? Or
I think I took a year off, and then I went part time. And as I'm going part time, I keep getting promoted at Hannaford. And actually, at one point, I was training with Dave Gamble. Dave was training to be a store manager, and we were kind of parallel. They're different positions, but same training format. And I just, like I said, I kept moving up. I was like, you know what, this isn't a bad gig. I'm getting paid pretty good. I
yeah.
got a house. I got all that stuff going on. So let's just stick to it.
And what were you studying at Schenectady County Community College?
Criminal justice.
All right. So was the plan, obviously, originally the plan was to be in law enforcement in some form or the other?
Yep.
Okay.
And just curious, you didn't want to go to Hudson Valley, or was obviously it's probably a shorter commute from your home to Schenectady, but no interest going to Hudson Valley.
No, Schenectady was closer, and their criminal justice program was a little bit better because I know the professors there were actually in the field. Like the one professor I had, he was a sergeant down in the city, and I always
Okay.
gravitate to people who have life experiences and all. Tell me exactly what you've seen. I think that helps me, be better. You
Yeah.
reading a book to me is not gonna really. I can do it myself.
Right. And you never did apply for any of those jobs out there to be a colony cop or
I think I was canvassed to be Albany cop, and like I said, I was like, you know what? I think I'm good.
yeah.
Nice.
One time, so we just have a couple more minutes, but that's one thing Rex and I were talking about was once we are going to sit on the hot seat to bring someone on board to kind of fill in for Rex or I, whoever's on the hot seat, to do it. And that's the one thing too. That story was, looking to go work in Albany as a police officer. I did an internship down there, and Albany is different at night. I can tell you that much. It's not Colonie, and I was like, wow,
No, not by
yeah,
a landslide. That's a different animal down there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to Schenectady Community College, 2 years, graduate with associate's degree. Then what was that? Was the next step?
Like I said, I was going to be an Albany cop. That was my plan. And then like I said, I for whatever reason, I just kept on applying for positions in Hannaford, and I kept on moving up. I kept on working I just didn't want to stay stagnant. And I kept applying, kept working hard at it. I'm like, I can make a pretty good living doing this.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, you might be the only person I know that is with the same employer since college. Like I know a few that very few, like less than five that have been with the same employer since after college, but you started during college. You might be the only person I know that literally has gone that long with the same employer. So congrats to you, and I guess shout out to Hannaford too for taking care of you.
I can't say anything bad about the company. I mean, I will say the shop right up here closed over late last year, and we took some of their folks, and they get worried about what happens again. And like we're a publicly trained company, so the chance of that happening now, that it's not possible. It's a possible, yes, but will it happen anytime soon? Probably not.
Right. Um, Well, with that, let's wrap up part one because there are some things I want to ask about your experience at Hannaford, particularly about managing a supermarket during the height of the pandemic, because I'm sure there's some interesting stories and experiences you can share
Yeah.
about that. But we're going to wrap up part one here with our man Frank Ferraro. But join us for part two to hear about adult life with Frankie and Hannaford and podcast and football and all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned for part two. Thank you. Peace out.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.